Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here of Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour podcast.
Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 287, the last Power Hour podcast of the year. Brian, wipe that grin off your face. I know how I sound. Jimmy's a sicky boy, folks.
Oh, that sounds for that was like that one episode I was really sick. it's
Yep,
it's funny to be on the other end of it, Jim.
all downhill from here. You'll notice
You're-
my delightful hat hair I got going right now because old Jimmy Wimmy's prone to headaches. So I spent like a half hour just sitting with this compression mask thing that I can put in the refrigerator. This is life as a 38-year-old, everybody. This is just this is how it goes. Every
I
day's a blessing.
mean, l- listen, yes, every day is definitely a blessing, Jim, but let's not act like everyone has compression headbands and
Fine.
milk thistle in their vials because
Maybe if you take care of yourself, then yes, you don't have these problems. But, man, sorry, I know how to party.
Chambers. Well, uh, I'll thank you again, Chambers. You came over today, helped me get a fridge out of the basement.
Sure did.
Actually, ended up being way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yep. Yeah,
Considering how
it
big
wasn't
of a
that bad.
bitch moving fridges are. Where was it we went that one time to pick up a fridge for you? That one random. Remember, like it was like in the
Oh,
middle of bumblefuck
yeah.
nowhere, and we had to walk it across like an entire like lawn, and it was just yeah, that was not fun.
And it was only like about 10 minutes from where we live. Like it was actually kind of in the middle of where you and I live now. But like, yeah, getting that in there was such a bitch and a half. Oh, that
Yeah.
sucked.
There
But
was
yeah,
no way
so
to pull the truck up. Like, yeah, it was just walk across this giant ass lawn with a bunch of fucking ditches in it.
see, Bri, I had the masterful strategy for your fridge of let's just lay it down and push it. And boom, work like a charm.
Hey, when it works, Jim.
Master
But
strategist. It's see, no dice rolls. I have the strategy, just don't make me do the dice rolls to execute. That's when it all falls apart.
but yeah, as you said, so we are recording this on the 29th. The goal is I want to have this out. You fucking camera. I don't know why it's gonna do this to this episode. Um, the goal is to have this episode out New Year's Eve. So
Bri, will
yeah,
you have this out before the day, like unlike Christmas, when it wasn't out before Christmas? That's the
yes,
real question.
because nothing to do. That's the beauty. I don't know if you're in that same position where I'm at right now, where like every day is just like a blur between Christmas and New Year's, where
Oh,
like you're just
let's just get this out of the way right now. I have not gamed at all for like the past 2 weeks. Like, what have we been playing? Dog, dick, nothing. I've had absolutely zero time. It's just been event after thing after stuff after thing. It's just
Jim, it would not be an episode without some technical errors. But yeah, like you were saying, like yeah, obviously gaming, doing anything in between this time is crazy because there's that mad dash of Christmas shit. There's the mad dash of like, especially having kids, it's like putting together things, taking apart things, getting rid of the trash, trying to clean up. Like it's just it's a fucking process.
oh, I like my game room is not the biggest room in the world. It's like a 10 by 12 at best. And it already has like shit spot up in here, just like leftover containers from Christmas decorations. And we got our daughter a 4.5 foot Barbie dream house that, well, we had to put that together and had to put it somewhere. So that was a cramped experience. God, that sucked putting that thing
Mhm.
together.
Yeah, yeah, I mean speaking of gaming, so I've uh been completely redoing my office the past 3 days because one of the gifts I got is a new desk and um well you can't just have a new desk, Jim. You also have to do wire management. You also have to get a tower for your like a rolling kind of cart tower to hold up your tower and all your wires and shit. And need some new lights. Can't have new not get new lights. Need new wireless mouse and keyboard.
I mean, you have to. You'd be a cuck not to.
Yeah, and you know what? My old speaker system, which I will always defend to death, the Logitech, their any of their THX models. I forget they start with the Z's. The fucking sound out of those things is amazing. And the one I had before the one I just bought lasted me since Probably college. Like those things hit so hard, but
I
it was
actually
just
just recently threw out my Logitech desktop speakers I had just because the plug basically was dead on it. So
that, well, so that's what, so I actually had already replaced the power source on it and I kept that thing going. And in one of the times trying to move the speakers, the actual audio jack from the speaker going into the sub like snapped. So I only was operating with one. So I got new speakers too. So I've been spending most of my time doing that, getting rid of shit in the basement. As I said, obviously having you help me was huge with the refrigerator, but I have dipped my toe into more Red Dead Redemption 2. I've been trying a new game, Jim. I finally downloaded the uber popular mobile game Ballatro.
oh well,
It's
Brian, how do you
it
like
is
it?
a so far it's a good mobile game. And I'm not even saying that in jest like I see obviously the addictive quality to it, right? Like um the thing I can't figure out is since my first run, I haven't died and I'm up to ante 6 or 7.
Yeah,
So I don't know, like,
if you clear ante 8, that's considered a win.
that's a win. That's the part I wasn't sure about. Like, I was like, does this just keep anteing up? Like, I couldn't figure that out.
You can keep doing endless modes because there's so much shit to unlock, like for rewards and different vouchers and all the kinds of bullcrap like that. But yeah, a run is considered one if you beat clear ante 8.
So explain this to me. Like, when you die, your whole deck gets reset, or do you keep any of the shit that you've bought?
Nope, resets. All you really keep is just like the jokers and other crap that you have unlocked along the way that might pop up during your runs. But yeah, you don't keep anything from run to run. It's not like a Hades roguelike where like, you're updating your stats and like it makes your next runs easier. It's just you have different stuff to play with that you might randomly have given to you.
So, okay. That's what I'm trying to. So, when you beat it, though, there's nothing that unlocks permanently.
You unlock different decks and you get more different jokers that you can play around with.
Okay. Um, it's fine. It's you know, it's weird. Like you're not really facing anything but yourself. Like that. It's yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like solitaire
Bri, your enemy's the score.
with
You have to beat the score.
yeah. It is. It hasn't grabbed. It's like a fine. It's a fine game when you're pooping. That's what I'll say. It has not made me want to like when I'm not going to the bathroom. I haven't been like, ooh, let me get another run in here. It's
It took
fine.
it took me a couple runs before I got like the real before it stuck its teeth into me. It wasn't like Slay the Spire, how like one or two runs and I was just like, oh, I like this. Like this, it took me a couple times and I was like, ew, I get it now.
But here's the deal. And the reason why I keep saying it is a perfect mobile game is
No,
because
it's perfect on the fucking phone. It plays perfect. It's go
yeah,
anywhere with you. It's a perfect platform for that. Yep.
like I couldn't imagine on my PC or Xbox or anything, honestly, like sitting there trying to move the cards. Like I think having touchscreen with this makes all the difference.
Yeah, I think that probably makes it a lot better too.
Yeah. But no, so I won't give it anything other than I can see why people could get addicted. Hasn't grabbed me yet, but that in Red Dead is really that's been it for me. And to say I've done it sparingly would be an understatement, without a doubt. So, um, but when it comes to beer, definitely have a special one because our good buddy Chris came down, visited us, gave us some gifts, and he got me the Goose Island Bourbon County Macaroon Stout, which as I'm already drinking, I'm like, this shit is smooth. This tastes great. Has a little bit of a bite. Didn't realize it was 14.6%. So
Oh, mama.
it's damn delicious. Tastes like a goddamn macaroons. I like macaroons. Um, obviously, like most of the Bourbon County stouts, it's gonna be it's pretty damn thick, very dark, and no head whatsoever when you pour this bad boy. Sweet as can be, not something you're gonna pound through. I think this will take me easily all episode to get through.
Yeah, I was actually planning on doing that this week for my beer as well. But once I got sick, I was like, well, I want to enjoy the fucking flavor of it and all that stuff. So it's not what I've had before. So I'm going with an Old Faithful, Brian. I'm boozing it up with you. I got me a good old Mad Elf. So
Mhm.
it you know what? No matter how bad your sinus infection can be, Mad Elf will just cut right through that.
It sure will, Jim. I mean, that's the reason why hot toddies were invented, you know?
That's a good point too. Yeah.
And I guess, Jim, you should raise a beer. We should be celebrating the jersey you got on. Our boys, not only did they get it done, but it kind of looked like a hate crime out there, what they did to the Cowboys.
I mean, not wrong. That was a woo.
That, I mean, that first quarter, you're like, okay, this is gonna be shaky. And then by second quarter, you're like, oh,
Well,
oh,
you don't sit there going, "Oh, Kenny Pickett's going to lead us to a 40 fucking 1-7 victory,"
41 to
but
7. But
with
you know
broken
what?
ribs the whole
It
time, but the boy did
it
it.
works. And Saquon past 2000, um, very poetically, if they decide to play him next week.
Brian, now that's the big question. That's going to be sports radio all week. Do you play him? Do you let him go for the record or do you rest him for the playoffs?
What is the record again?
2105, I believe, or 2107, something like that. 2107, I think.
So realistically, can we get him that many yards? Ooh. Part of me goes, let him have it. Like here's the deal. Let it be his decision. Like I feel like Sirianni did that with him before earlier in the season. Like he left it up to him. He's like, listen, this is your record. Um, but yeah, do you rest the guy? I maybe you just let him get it and then you rest him. So do it
Well,
early.
that's the obvious. The second he's like
Yeah,
yard over, fucking sit his ass down.
yeah.
But
I
yeah, I
hope.
mean, that's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because God forbid he gets hurt in a meaningless game trying
Don't
to go for a
even
record.
say it. Don't
You
even
got
say
Negadelphia, Brian. It has to be said. All right.
it.
God forbid, worst case scenario, most likely scenario. You go,
um,
what the fuck? Why would you ever play him? But then if you don't play him, you go, what the hell? You didn't let the guy go for his record. So, tough spot.
and the poetic justice of going against the Giants. It seems like it's destiny, Jim. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, it would be too beautiful to do it against the Giants. It has to be done. You have to do it at that point. The spite, Brian.
It's
The delicious spite.
yeah. If this was like anyone else, I'd be like, no. But against the Giants, a rival, his old team, like it lines up too nicely.
Oh, yeah. It feels like the Jaguars, but like, fucking sit them. Who cares? Screw the
Yeah,
record.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, the boys they got it done. Whew, boy, did they get it done.
That is for goddamn sure. So, speaking of getting it done, Brian, our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/drinkABeerandPlayAGame, they got it done this week. They got some questions in. So, why don't you say we just get right into it, huh?
Let's do it.
First up from Alex Perez, is there a common game or games that you both have always wanted to play but just never got around to it for whatever reason? Remember, this is a game you both have to agree on. Hmm.
Game we both haven't gotten into. I mean, we've talked about a bunch of games. I feel like neither of us, like you've never really done any of the Final Fantasies, right?
Only a handful. I've only ever beaten one of them.
I'm trying to remember the ones you and I both never really got into.
I know you've played some Tomb Raiders. I've almost never touched Tomb Raider.
But you know
This
what?
is kind of tough because you and I like we have like some same taste, but we also have really different ones too. So like
Yeah,
between the two of us, we've had a lot of genres
I'm.
and series.
See, my mind goes to RPGs that you and I would both actually want to do. It's because I know you're not really an RPG guy.
Yeah, like
Um,
I'm sure both of us have like never touched a Dragon Warrior, probably.
no.
So I know I haven't.
Do you have any interest? Is the question.
Yeah, it's one I've always wanted to get around to. Like, I would like to play Dragon Warrior like 8 on the PS2. I hear that's a good one. And I think the most recent one on PS5 people seem to like. So maybe one of those I would dip my toes into, but I'm not dying to.
What about um? What's the not Ghost Recon, not Siphon Filter, but in
Splinter
that
Cell?
vein, Splinter Cell. I've never played those.
Neither have
And
I.
And those always they look like something I would actually enjoy.
Yeah, and actually, I Metal Gear Solid. I've only played like half of the first one. That's one that I think we talked about before that
Same.
we've
You know what?
never
That's
really
actually a
touched.
good one. I never beat even I've never beat a single one of those other than I think I had started the NES game. Did I finish that? I don't think I finished that. That's you know what? That's my series. That's the series I really like to get into. But I know it. I feel like it's all consuming. So yeah, I think that's one I'd really like to get into.
Yeah, same here. And our buddy Jay's been begging us to like go over that series for how
Hmm.
many years now?
I know for real. I think we should dip our toes into it, Jim.
Might be a thing to go for next year. Next up from Todd Howard Sucks. What is the worst Christmas dish? Happy Christmas, boys. Also, did you finish Ocarina of Time yet? Hmm. Brian, is it safe to say I'll just be taking that cartridge back?
Well, let's wait till we get to our resolution games, Jim.
Oh, all right. Brian, spoiler for the topics tonight, Brian.
um, hmm. Worst Christmas dish. You know what's funny is like I don't know if do you have a specific like Christmas dinner? Like I
No.
feel like it still ends up being like for us like I usually have family over or going places. Um and it's only stuff we're really making that I really like. Like my wife makes a kick-ass beef Wellington, but it's such a pain in the ass to make. So it's like I enjoy the shit out of that, or it's like ham. Um, trying to think of something I don't like. Like, do you like eggnog?
I've barely ever had it, but not really.
Do you
Too cummy.
you know what? It's the classic answer. I don't know how anyone enjoys fruitcake.
I don't think I've ever really had fruitcake.
I had it
It's
like
been such like a
once.
lifelong meme that like I'm like I'm never around it. Like it's a thing that no one ever even buys or brings it over as like that joke gift. I've just never been exposed to it, basically.
Yeah,
I'm at the point where I want to try it. I want to try fruitcake just to see what it's about.
I remember having it young and thinking, well, this is nasty. But same as you, I haven't had it in so long. It's kind of like soda bread. Like it's one of those things like you have every so often on St. Patty's Day, and you're like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, fruitcake is
Oh, this is
probably
weirdly dry.
yeah. It's like it's dry. I still kind of like it, but it's up there. Um, yeah, fruitcake has to kind of be my answer, just because that's the only thing I can tie with Christmas. I go, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, me being the resident fat fuck, it's not a lot I don't really eat, but
Yeah,
I
Jim.
don't know, because like Christmas Day we more do like a brunch with the family. Christmas Eve it's just like I'll be at my parents, but we just order at this point, so it's not even like a real Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. We really don't like. I guess when I go to any holiday event, there's like always fucking deviled eggs, but there's deviled eggs at every event, and I hate deviled eggs. So
Well, you just
I,
hate eggs in general.
I'm very picky. I hate anything hard boiled with my eggs. Like scrambled, I'm fine. Over easy, even I'm good with that. But like anything hard boiled, disgusting. Can't stand it. So yeah,
What
that's
else are you having hard boiled other than eggs?
well, that's it. Just hard boiled eggs and all their different, like a full on egg or like chopped up egg yolks that you put in the fucking salads or the egg whites, I should say,
Okay.
or a goddamn deviled egg where it's the worst of both worlds. So, oh, let's make a swirl out of the yolk and then put it in a hard boiled fucking outer shell. Oh, delicious.
Do you ever do ramen?
Oh yeah, I like ramen.
So do you like the egg in that?
I don't think I've ever had real ramen. I guess I can
Oh,
say.
okay. So when I say ramen, I mean real
Yeah,
ramen.
no, no. Right. I'm a Marchand boy. Okay.
So there's a new place. I've now spoiled the wife. Um, it's right near us on Second Street Pike, Akiro. And do that once, and I bet you'll be like, well, that just fucked up ramen for me because you'll want that. So
Hmm. All right. I'll have to try
yeah,
that.
but that has the legit like the fish cake, the egg, the all the shit. So like, yeah, you'll be in for the full experience.
All right. I'll give that a go.
But yeah, Christmas is, you know, it's of all the holidays, Christmas, I don't really think of food that much. I more think of just like snacks. Like that's the time of year where you eat too much stupid shit. Like I definitely need to get back on the diet after this past 2 weeks. It's been bad, Jim.
Oh, it's been horrific. Goddamn work. It's just cookies after cookies after snacks after
Oh,
cookies.
dude. Yeah,
It
the
just doesn't
sweets,
stop.
it fucking yeah. And the excessive drinking. I mean, come on.
Well, that's a given.
But I like that question.
Yep. And last up from good old TJ, who would you sue for hurting your feelings on Twitter? Oh man.
Who would I sue? Ooh. Well, see, the problem is you can't do the Icarus route and shoot too high for the moon, someone too rich, because you'll get out lawyered out. So you got to hit that medium ground. Problem is, I'm not online enough. So,
Yeah, you're not online enough, and I don't care enough.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Like if
trying to
anyone
think what,
ever starts to try a Twitter argument, I just say K, or all right, yeah, you're right, and then I just move on. Like I just don't care.
yeah, and I'd be too inclined to want to like fight someone versus sue them. So, but I'm trying to think of someone who
No,
I would
Brian,
like.
we have an answer for this for you. We'll get you liquored up again, and when Conor McGregor takes on Jake Paul or Logan Paul, whichever one it's supposed to be, we'll just have you go on Twitter and talk to Pat the NES Punk again. It'll be fine.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, but see, I wouldn't sue him.
But it's about who would sue you. Oh no, who would
No,
you sue? Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, you
And,
wouldn't sue
and
him.
and there's nothing he would say that would ever hurt my feeling. Like that's the other problem is my feelings won't get hurt by shit someone says I don't. It would have to come from someone I care about. And that's not going to happen.
Not
So,
on Twitter, that's for goddamn sure.
yeah. So, I'll sue you, Jim. It's fine.
Good. Take my nothing. Enjoy.
No, 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 but it's fine. I'm not suing you for money, Jim. I'm just going to sue you for your favorite games or like consoles, like shit like that.
Whatever, just take it all. I don't give a shit anymore. You win. You're right. Take it.
And part of the sue is just as you hand it to me, you say, "Ooh, what a lovely tea party."
No, no, too far. I'm starting a GoFundMe to fight this.
Jim, you might have people that might you might have to sue who might want to defame you.
Huh?
Made up beefs on the internet, Jim.
Oh, we can make up some fucking beeps. That's fine.
I still say I want you in a boxing match with some of the people we've talked about. Let me train you, Jim.
Oh God. Am I the stuttering giant or the crazy cabbie in that situation?
Both.
Fuck. No good answer to this.
TJ, you son of a bitch. I always love your questions. You need to get them in more.
Yep, damn right. But yes, thank you everyone for all the questions and really for all the support all year. We really do appreciate it, especially if you're not like, obviously not a huge channel or anything like that. But it's good to know that some people care. That someone out there wants to hear our dumb ramblings every once in a while.
Yeah, no, guys, we do truly appreciate it. And I say it all the time and I mean it. If you miss a few, get a few in, just send us questions because this is part of what we enjoy the most with it.
January we'll get goddamn Postal out, and then February we'll get the review for Berserk Boy out. We'll get those done.
Yep.
2024 is a hell of a year. We had Delusions of Grandeur. We had all these plans for all these big, taking on all these different franchises and playing so many games and reviews. And God, did none of that happen.
Yes, you are correct. And speaking of just changes in general, Jim, so we are on Podbean now. So all of our latest episodes will always be up. We are connected to iTunes. By the time you're listening to this episode, fingers crossed, we should be back on Spotify. The bigger problem is right now we migrated all the information, but for some reason, none of the audio files beyond the first, like the last 5 or 6 episodes transferred with it. So I've been manually going in now and episode by episode have to like upload the actual file. Um, there may be some wonkiness with the order that if you ever want to go back and listen, we're trying to figure that out. But either way, I do know it is available on Podbean. It is available on iTunes or uh
As of right now, Apple and Podbean for the audio, and then
Yes.
Spotify will be up hopefully by the time this is up.
And with Podbean, I will say it is way better as far as options to distribute elsewhere. So I may also be putting us on Prime. I guess that's a thing you can do,
The hell is Prime?
like Amazon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
like there's a shit ton of options of stuff I've never even heard. So it's just a matter of how big of a pain in the dick it is. But yeah, so you have audio options again. That's the point. So yeah, Jim, good work on figuring that out. I think you found it from our buddies at Thought Cops.
yes,
So
good old Officer Grant giving us that heads up. So
yeah,
shout
no,
out to
guys,
him.
we truly appreciate it. And Jim, you hit on something for the past. Did I start
3.
with level 50? I'm trying to think how far back I went where I started doing these crazy ass like game challenges.
Yeah, it's probably level 50 back in 22, I think that was. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
because 21, I did like a little review of all the games I beat that year. And then you're like, oh, I have an idea. And then you ruined our lives for the next 3 years. So thanks for that, Brian.
so yeah, this for 2024, we were like, all right, we'll beat 5 franchises. And we were very, very loose with the rules as we always are about like if you beat a couple games in a franchise, it's fine, whatever. And I think Jim and I both were just already pre burnt out, and then we were burnt out more. And then I want to say, like, pretty early in the year, like by springtime, we're like, I don't think this is going to happen. So,
No.
you and I probably did still get through a decent amount of games, and I think it's what we want to cover here. But like, I also want to project for next year.
Yep. So our idea is we did it a couple years ago, just New Year's resolution games. The New Year's coming up. What games are we going to promise that we will beat? 10 games. I'm doing 10. I don't know what you had in mind, Bry.
I was just going to discuss it as we were talking. So
Oh,
I can
there we
come up
go.
with 10.
I put down 10. If you want to do less, I'll do less. Bry, don't twist my arm, why don't you?
So let me hear yours as I write out mine.
All right. So first up, I want to get me some use out of my goddamn PS5. So I will be going with the game of the year, Astrobot. Also want to be hitting up RoboCop Rogue City. That's a game that I hear from like everyone that it's awesome. I love the RoboCop series of movies, so it's cool that there's a good game with it. I'm going with that. And also in that vein, I also want to play Terminator Resistance. It's by the same company, and that was a last gen game, but apparently that is to Terminator what RoboCop Rogue City is to RoboCop. So I definitely want to hit that up. Right. Fun fact about those two games. Guess what their company also made. That was a licensed title.
Which game? Terminator
Terminator Resistance and RoboCop Rogue City.
Evolve?
No. Rambo the game on the PS3.
Jesus Christ.
Somehow, talk about redemption arcs. They went from a joke of a developer with that fucking mess of a game, and they've made like two like basically loved first person shooters tied into a franchise. So good on them for turning that around. Gotta have me a Turbo Graphics game in there. So I've been working on Blazing Lasers the past couple months. I'm gonna hopefully beat that next year. Well, I will. The resolution, Brian. Will I lose weight? No. Will I beat Blazing Lasers? Yes. Also,
Damn
I
it,
think I
Tim.
think I brought up a year or so ago Metroid Prime Remastered. Like I wanted to do Metroid Prime as one of my franchises, and obviously that never happened. So I figure I'll at least go in and play the most up to date, best controlling one. So I at least want to do that one. Also, a series I have never touched before, Pikmin. I want to play Pikmin 1. I hear it's a quick game. I like my real time strategy games. It's a lighter RTS kind of deal, but I'll play me some Pikmin. I'll do the first one. Oh, also, speaking of Stellar Blade, speaking of beefs in the online culture sphere, Brian, I'm dipping my toes in, Brian.
Oh
I
God.
have Stellar Blade and I have Black Myth Wukong on the list. I have to
Hmm.
see if these are the games that should be saving gaming or if it's all bullshit. So I will find out for myself. And then also Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. That was the Metroidvania that everyone seemed to really like last year. I have it, haven't gotten around to it. I will get around to it. And I like to do at least one Metroidvania per year, so that could be that one. But, oh, actually, maybe I'll be doing two, because Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. I started it years ago. I enjoyed it,
I
but
thought you beat that game because you
no, I,
told me about it, and then I beat it.
no, we did the Curse of the Moons. We did the side-scrolling ones. Well, I mean, this is
Okay.
side-scrolling too, but this is more of a Metroidvania. This is the one that's like what their original Kickstarter was for their spiritual successor to Symphony of the Night. That's what this is. Where the other ones were just like accoutrement, you could say, to like what that was. So I love
Okay.
the Curse of the Moon games, but yeah, no, I want to play Ritual of the Night and finally finish that. I hear it's okay at best. Like I don't think it's beloved, but I was like halfway through it before. I'll obviously have to start all over again, but I do want to just at least finish that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my 10.
So I'm writing out and I'm thinking as you're talking, um, what was
Let
the
me make sure that's
name?
10 because I don't number as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Bam.
Um, so I'm gonna call this year the cleanup year, and whether it's games we started, games I just want to finish. So right off the bat, I said I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm gonna finish that for sure. Um, maybe not all of it, but like at least the main story and that whatever. Ocarina of Time. I'm definitely because I can't have it be a thing where I give it back to you and then like a few years later I'm like, you know what? Let me do it. I'm just gonna finish it. Like I was saying, so God of War Ragnarok. Our buddy Todd sent it to me. I love the shit out of the God of War remake, so I have to finish that. That's one I've been dying to get back to, so I know I'll enjoy it. Similar to you, RoboCop is definitely on there. As a huge fan of it, looks like a nice short game, so I want to play that. Hades 2, a game where I think is
I
debatably Hades 1 was like the best roguelike.
I think
So,
that's only on Steam for now, but yeah, no, I was thinking about that too, but I want to wait for a console release for that.
okay. Resident Evil Survivor on the PS1, a game that I got physically at one of the too many games. And
Yeah, that
it's
was a
like
couple years ago. Yeah.
I just have to I'm gonna have to play it on my PS3, but yeah, it's like I went through the whole Resident Evil catalog, and other than that and like Outbreak 2, I think I've beaten all of them except Wii games like the Umbrella Chronicles. Black Myth Wukong, I said this year, like of any of the games I saw this year, that was the one where I went, ooh, I really want to try that one out. So that's on my list. Plague Tale 2.
Oh shit, yeah, that's a good idea.
Love the shit out of that first game. So, and in keeping with wanting to close out franchises I've played, the final Bioshock last year or the year before I did Bioshock 2 and was enjoyed the shit out of it. So I want to just finish it off with the third one. And finally, Blasphemous, a game that you got me into. Blasphemous 2 came out. I was like, I really enjoyed that one. So as my Metroidvania, that's kind of my pick.
Nice, there you go. I'm surprised you didn't have Senua 2 on there.
Oh, that's one I'll definitely just do. So that I'll add to my list, but
I hear that's mad short anyway, so
yeah, I mean, I love that first one. So yeah, this is my like cleanup of games I mostly heard about, wanted to get through, or just continuations of other series. But I will say, uh, no plans for you and me for setting a club or record. Obviously, in our Discord this year, people did 24 and 24. If people want to continue and do 25 and 25, we love seeing the progress. I think Jim and I can both confidently
we'll set
say,
that up in the Discord. That's fine. I did
yeah.
not come close to 24 games. I think I did 14 this year, 13 or
Well, I was
14.
gonna say, so that was gonna be my question to you. Like, how many games do you think you actually beat this year?
No, I kept a list. I think let me see here. 13.
Okay. I I kept a decent list, so I did start off strong with the cereal cleaners. I forget who we had on. Someone told us about that. And I right away downloaded it on Steam and I played the original and the newer game. There's only two games in the series. Beat those, loved the shit out of it. Um Then we had our Toilets in Wonderland. And then I went hard in the paint on that Duke Nukem series. And I did Duke Nukem 1, 2, 3D, Forever. Have all that footage because I still want to do reviews on that, even if you can't play it. Like I want to give that series a full run. I did the Lakeview Cabin games, and then that's where I kind of fell off. And then I was just like, all right, I did Super Metroid, I did Hollow Knight, I did a few other just kind of more miscellaneous games. But yeah, I didn't beat many. It was like 16 tops this year. So I wasn't really trying. A lot of my time was spent on games, just continuation of games or games with Logan. So
Yep, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I wound up playing a shitload of Mario Party Jamboree with my daughter and wife, so that's turned into the family game for all of us.
you also just played enough Slay the Spire and Balatro that you could have beat 10 franchises over.
Yeah, I dumped my a lot of time into time sinks this year. Like
Yeah.
I thought at first Fallout 4 is gonna be my most longest played game of the year, and oh, was I wrong? So yeah, I found ways to chew up my fucking games. But while we're doing the old year and wrap up, Brian, let's quickly go give a shout out to all the guests that we had on this year. We didn't have as many guests as last year, but once again, this was one of those years. So big shout outs to, of course, BladeBlur, our old stalwart, Travis and Tannen from the Reset Button podcast, PK in the Universe, Kevin and Fudj from Palette Swap, Brad from Rex Viper, Super Nicktendo, Adam, the Squarepainter, also of Rex Viper, Joe from Video Games Monthly, Dan from Console Wars, Krooked, and Jack Napier. So once again, thank you to all those guys for hopping on. And you actually wound up on Gamers Week a while back, and both you and I did solo guest spots on our buddy Nerdy Nick's and Squared podcast.
Yeah. No. Cheers, guys. Thank you all. Definitely have a lot of plans for next year for some potential guests. So keep an eye out. If we're not overloaded with shit, it should be a better year, Jim. Every
I
year is a blessing.
I think so. I think it'll be a much more. It'll definitely be an interesting year to say the least.
All right, Chambers. So, on to some news that's come out as of December 26th. Pokemon's 28-year record has officially been broken. What broke it, Chambers?
Brian, what else but Animal Crossing? So we are talking about Japan. So, like you said, 28 years. Pokemon Red and Green, because over there they had Red and Green, over here we had Red and Blue. Uh, so that was 7.93 million units sold. Animal Crossing, a stout, sweet, spot on 8 million sold, Brian. Not just one game, not even two, not even split into two, not even collecting them all. Just one goddamn game, and we talked about it before. That game was total lightning in a bottle. Probably the perfect game to come out when everyone was locked in their homes. What can you say?
Here's my question. I always confuse Animal Crossing with Stardew Valley. What is the difference between the two?
Uh, I don't think too much. I know Stardew Valley it's an indie game that was made by one guy, but it was definitely made in the I think it actually might be more to do with Harvest Moon than Animal Crossing, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, Stardew's a straight up. I'm pretty sure Stardew's more of a farming sim, where Animal Crossing's like a life sim.
Hmm. Uh, yeah. I mean, we knew it was lightning in a bottle, but that's still kind of crazy to beat Pokemon of all things. Because I still feel like I heard way more about Pokemon throughout our time than Animal Crossing. Like
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
go ahead.
know, like I don't know anyone that we know that like yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would have known anyone who would have actually played that.
Like in real life, like that's not
Yeah,
our crowd of people. Online, everyone I've ever talked to, I think, has played Animal Crossing at this point.
really.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so especially New Horizons. Like some people have thousands of hours into that game. So yeah, I mean, I am not shocked at all. We even had the story that I told you from that local video game shop that was like, oh yeah, selling amiibo cards like kept us alive for Animal Crossing during the pandemic. So like that
What
used
do
to
you
be
think
shit that
the
no one cared about.
worldwide comparison would be?
I think we saw this on a list a while ago. I think wasn't it like 30 million or something? 20 to
Yeah,
30
but I'm
million?
saying I think Pokemon probably beats it worldwide. I think in the States, Pokemon still beats Animal Crossing.
Probably. I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case.
Yeah, because leave it to the Japanese.
Right. Do go on. Explain.
I'm saying leave it to the Japanese to choose
Two.
Animal Crossing over Pokemon. What are you talking about?
But why?
Think about it. Just think
Th-
about it.
I think and think about a lot of things, Brian, but I'm a little stumped on this one, Bri.
It just makes sense, Jim. You tell me why you think it would make sense.
Ah, got
We've
Bri.
established you're the king of the isms, so why don't you
Oh,
explain?
there is no wisdoms going on here, Brian. Not today, sir. They like their cute animals. So really, it's a toss up. It could have been anyone's game at that point, Brian.
I mean,
Monster Rancher, Digimon, the world is their oyster.
here's the thing. Now, what? Okay, so we see a collector's game being the first king of games in Japan. Now we see a
Probably
life
the only king of
simulator.
game is Yugi Moto.
Nah, nobody likes that. Um,
Shut
now
up.
it's a life simulator. So what is probably going to be the next? You obviously have to have something more kid friendly. If Mario or Zelda didn't do it before, I don't think a new one of those. So like, what type of game is it going to be? Another collection based game, another sim based game? Like, I'm curious what the next frontier is going to be.
Yeah, I would almost say a collectathon, but just because of how addictive those can be. But then again, so
Yeah,
is life sim games. So I don't know, whatever the Japanese version of Balatro is going to be, or Balatro. I
God
still don't even know
damn
how to
it.
possibly say that. So
Yeah, it's a perfect mobile game.
man, hey, you know what? Mobile is taking over in Japan, so you know what? That would be the one to do it. There you go, Bry.
But congrats, Animal Crossing. You did it. You beat them. Yeah, Pokemon, you had your reign.
Tom Nook better than Pikachu. It's decided. It's over.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Right, I know things. I know things about
Jim,
stuff.
Jim, you sing the Animal Crossing theme song right now.
I don't know what the hell that is.
You don't know what it is?
No.
Animal Crossing.
God, I hope that's actually what it is. My headcanon will now say that that is what it is.
So yeah.
Let's go fishing.
But
I
Jim, let's
need
go from
bells.
Jim. Let's go from happy to sad though. Let's talk about
Much like life.
talk about a year in review. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the world, Jim. And one of the things we reported on numerous times is the sheer number of layoffs and closures of the gaming industry. And a tweet from Dell Walker at the Cartel Dell says, wishing the best for artists, game devs, and striking voice actors this Christmas. You are not broken, the industry is. In no order, here's a list of game studios affected by layoffs or closures in 2024 that I noted, likely missing many. And I certainly didn't count them, Jim, but holy fuck, it's a long list.
Oh, there's at least 50 to 60 studios listed here. And yeah, I mean, during the year, like we famously talked about like Sony with all the layoffs they had, Microsoft with all the layoffs they had, Activision with all the layoffs they had, and just all the smaller studios that were either liquidated or fully sold off or just closed down. But even like big name ones like EA and 343 and Bethesda, down to the little thing guys like, People Can Fly Studios and Toys for Bob and PTW and 31st Union, just a little bit of everything, really. Sega of America, fucking just Guerrilla Games, like Eidos Montreal. Like, there's, if you want to look through this list, we have the tweet to the link below. The tweet to the link. Good job, Jimmy. Good wording. But yeah, I mean, there's at least 60 here, and there's probably way more, like he said. So, I mean, yeah. It's another thing we talked about before, like speaking of the pandemic and the holdover from that. It was beautiful for some games, but a lot of companies out there just rush to think, oh, the good times are never going to end. And they just bought up studio after studio or just added staff after staff, and the bubble kind of burst. Like eventually there was too many jobs for what was needed out there. Not saying this many people should have lost their friggin' jobs, but it's a very volatile time in the gaming industry right now. So, uh,
And that's
my
my question. And I think I've asked it before. Is it a symptom of just like the beer industry, is there too much out there? Was it, or is there maybe a hiring boom during COVID because more people were gaming and people could expand? And then they're like, oh, everyone's at home, they're gaming. Da, da, da. And then they're like, yeah, you can, just like you can have so many IPAs, you can only have so many RPGs, so many hack and slash. Like, is that a symptom of? I don't know what the right answer is. Like, do you need a 40-person team to develop a 2D platformer, or can you do it with 10? I don't know.
Right. And not to say that downsizing and adding crunch and all that bullcrap's the right way to do it, but
Mm-mm.
unfortunately, that's, economics and capitalism right there. So, yeah, it sucks. I honestly do think that there is like so much hiring that went on. I think it's probably half and half. It's probably, the hangover ended from COVID and also just, corporate greed like anything else is. So, it is what it is, but it sucks. Like that's an industry I would not want to be in because I mean, you never know. Like you could have a game that sells well and is critically acclaimed, and it still isn't enough to save your fucking studio at this point. Like
Yeah,
it's insane what the standards are at this point, like from investments and just what profits need to be.
I'm curious if you're a developer right now, an indie developer specifically, like, is the only true path to like kind of making it through like a Steam, or do you just legit try to make it big and get onto an Xbox or whatever? Like, I can't even imagine what navigating that pathway looks like. I imagine getting on to Steam is probably your easiest bet.
I mean, everyone gets onto Steam, so that's not really a accomplishment.
Yeah. But like,
But I
okay,
mean,
so
it's a way to get it out. I mean, at the end of the day, you need more eyes on your product. That's what it comes down to. So
yeah.
at the end, like you probably want to be licensed to all these bigger name studios and platforms and stuff like that, especially the more stringent ones when it comes to what they put on there. So yeah, I mean, you need to be out there. You need people to be able to have a way to get to your shit for them to play it and to buy it. So I don't know.
Is it sad that in today's day and age, what you probably need more than anything is a great social media manager that can like get you views, get you in the hands of content creators, and like you're saying, so you can just see eyeballs because being a good game probably isn't enough these days.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, sometimes being a good game, you don't even have to be a good game. You can be a decent game with good promotion or something like that. Hell, like
Yeah.
Sugar Ray, their first album didn't get played because of how good the album was. It got played because they put a really hot chick on the cover and they gave it to radio stations and they went, "Oh, this got my attention." Sometimes you just need an attention getter. So,
How dare you, Jim? How dare you?
look, Bri, I love biscuits and lemonade. All right, Mike Tyson, Big Black Woman, banger songs. All right, but so don't take away my Sugar Ray cred over here. All right. I know, Mr. Shrinky Dinks. Did you? No, you didn't. Go fuck yourself. But there you go.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We saw was this year. I mean, there was multiple strikes, like everything else we said. So I hope people bounce back. I hope this isn't a just a continuation in next year. Maybe this was like, okay, it was a pressure relief valve, if you will. Like, all right, take some of the steam out of these folks, these companies, and it can level out next year. I hope it's not a continuing trend.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah,
mean,
for
if
anyone
we
in the industry, I feel for you.
Yeah, I mean, if we see this much layoff and closure in the next year, like something is seriously wrong with the goddamn game industry at that point.
Well, yeah, but like the problem with that is we know there's a problem, and that's why we need the real game awards, Jim.
When you're right, Brian. The problem is woke. That is the problem. And there are heroes out there who are ready to stop it.
Oh, this fucking guy. So why don't you explain to us? So we've covered this whole whatever you want to call it, the setup of the real game awards. We've covered the fact that they're charging people to vote, that it is completely handled by voting people who are willing to vote on it. And as of the 19th of December, they released their nominees for their categories. So Jim, why don't you read off some of these classics?
Well, Bri, obviously you got to have best action game, which is Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, Space Marine 2, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and Indiana Jones, which when Indiana Jones been out for maybe a month. So, and weren't they complaining about that being woke? But whatever. I don't. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just moving on. Best FPS. Bri, the husbando of the year.
What the fuck is husband? Is that another internet term that I'm not aware of?
Yes, it's basically the guy version of waifu, because waifu
And
of the
I
year's
hate
there,
that
Brian.
term. I hate waifu, by the way. I despise it. I don't like it, Jim. I don't
Right,
like
that sounds like gay woke talk to me, Bri. All right.
it.
But yeah, of course, for Husbando, the obvious winner has to be Broly. Like, there's just no way it's not going to be. But yes, there's Waifu of the Year, Best MMO, Best Fighting Game, Best Third Person Shooter, Best Story, Best Cash Grab.
By the way, the biggest cash grab. So once again, I did not know. I didn't realize all these categories. That one I will say made me giggle a little bit. Now, seeing The Last of Us remastered again, I was like, "Oh, I get it." Like, and seeing Horizon Zero Dawn, I get it. Outlaws, I don't get as much. Like with the gazillion remakes of there, and you and I have covered them. I'm like, yeah, that's a fucking cash grab. Like you could probably put any Nintendo game in there as like being
Yeah,
re-released for the millionth time.
yeah, like the two remasters that are completely unnecessary. I will give them credit. I get it. Well, how the fuck is Outlaws a cash grab? Like, I
I
think, yeah,
I
there
don't
was,
get it.
like, I think there was microtransactions, but everything has microtransactions. These guys are all just mad that they made the lead in the game not as high as the actual actress. Like, so I just, they had to just shoehorn that in there somewhere with something negative. And then, like, Tekken 8 DLC. Like, didn't we all bitch enough about, like, Elden Ring's DLC being named for Game of the Year? Why is more DLC being, what?
As a cash
I
grab,
didn't even hear about Tekken 8's DLC. Like, no one talked about it.
I mean, here's the deal. DLC in and of itself is a cash grab. So to me, that's too on the nose. Like the re-releases, I agree with 1,000,000%. You probably could have put you probably could have put Silent Hill 2 on there. You the remake. You could have put
At least that was like a real remake and not just another HD remaster.
but I'm saying like put something like that. So I'm like whatever. Obviously this is all ridiculous.
Right.
But yeah.
Best value, Brian, because you can really judge that. Like
Yeah,
Fort.
how
How
do
the
you
fuck is
possibly
how's Fortnite in best value? Like, obviously, the people making these like things don't have kids because how many goddamn parents, you know more than anyone, Brian, have just been goddamn raped by Fortnite with their kids wanting.
listen, if it was me playing Fortnite, I would agree. It's I think it's free. I
It
don't
is,
remember if they're yeah.
but no one doesn't like. This is going to be terrible English, but I don't care. No one doesn't not buy DLC for that. No one doesn't buy the skins. That's all you.
Yeah.
That's the appeal. You all buy the skins. Everyone bought Goku this year. All right, fuck.
Like here's the deal. Let me just point out a few issues I have with this whole thing. Um, they reference Space Marine 2 multiple times, which I'm fine with that. Why do they use different thumbnails throughout the thing? Like they switch between the fucking thumbnails. Number one, number two. How can any game that like you just put Pal World, Fortnite? I don't know what the fuck the first Descendant is,
No
but
idea.
like you put two free games next to two full price games. Like that makes like maybe throw in a game that's like a Balatro. That's $10. You can get 200, 300 hours if you really do it. To me, that's a value based game. Like I don't know.
Yeah, or just do like best value free games, best value paid games, and split them up or something.
I also fundamentally have a problem with it seems like four is the number they do with their categories. So when there's threes, that bothers me. Just saying it. I'm just
Just
saying
make
it.
them all fours. Throw something else in there.
Yes. Throw something else in there, but go on.
But yeah, best multiplayer experience, best sports game, best RPG. Like fine, fine. Best
Yep.
early access game. Like okay, fine. Best Microsoft IP, another three bagger, but how much does Microsoft really have? Do so.
Don't you dare. I'm
Right,
sure.
right,
Here's the deal.
right,
You're not
right.
allowed to have fucking Minecraft in there.
It's
You're
Microsoft
not.
IP, Brian. They
I
bought it
don't
up.
care. I don't care. You can't do it, Jim.
But PlayStation, no problem putting 4 games in there. So best PlayStation IP, best Nintendo IP, best Bri. Here,
This one,
let's go to the real heart and soul of this, Brian, and the most unbiased that you're gonna see. Best game journalist.
who who are these fucking people, by the way?
The only one, so it's between Savvy, Endymion Kirsch, and John F. Trent. The only one I really know is Endymion because he's another like he's a Grum's dick rider with the whole culture war, and he's the one who cried about being dropped by G Fuel, basically.
Oh no. Which, whatever.
It's just gonna be 4 people just going, it's woke. Here's where they put the woke.
And then there's worst games journal.
Brian, is there any way that this isn't going to be a runaway? Like, come the fuck on. Alyssa McConty, Paul Tassi, Nick Calandra, and Rebecca Valentine. Like, Nick had a lot of run-ins with a lot of these people early on in the year, but they come the fuck on. It's just another way they're going to beat on Alyssa. Jesus Christ.
So Jim, are you saying if this was a betting, Vegas would have the odds very stacked?
Right. You would have to bet like $6 billion to win $1 on this bet. I am throwing that down right now. And even then, it would be a lock to win your dollar.
I mean, I think the real baller move is if she won, is to formally accept it.
Oh, she should. She should
Like,
show up there. She should be like
basically
when
like the Razzies.
when Halle Berry showed up to the Razzies. It should be like that.
Yes. Yeah, you accept it. And then shitty ass game of the year, which okay. Once again, I feel like is that Runaway with Concord? Because I've never heard of Dustborn.
Dustborn was another one of those like I might be wrong on this. I think it was maybe a Overwatch knockoff, but or maybe I'm thinking of Battleborn. Fuck. But I just remember people talking about Dustborn. It was a big failure and it like flopped right out of the gate. And it had Sweet Baby all over it and the DEI, blah, 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 all that bull crap.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't even remember it. Like Suicide Squad, I know it failed, but honestly, I didn't hear that much negative. Concord to me is the fail. And Dragon Age obviously got dunked on a ton, but like I feel like Concord is the obvious like no, that shit failed.
like it seems like Concord should be the one. Like it died in 7 days. But we got to think of the audience here, Brian. I think there's a good charge that Dragon Age is the dark horse winner on this one because this group hates that fucking game.
So here's the thing. I'm trying to go on their site. I don't know if you know this, but do we know how many sponsors there actually are, or how many people are actually sponsors, I should say?
I don't know. I think there's a way to see that early on, but I think they might have taken that number down. Maybe if you have to go to like the GoFundMe or something like that, or the not a GoFundMe, but whatever the fuck they made it as.
So the one item they didn't have in there was Game of the Year. And looking at their site, I can't really tell because it's kind of hidden behind some shit. But okay, so all I'm gonna say is I'm on their site, and when you look at the categories,
Is Game of the Year there? Because I'm not on the site. I don't want to
it
crash my
is
computer.
it is, but I can't like some of the thumbnails are hidden, so I can't see all of them. And when you click on it, you need to be a member. But it's funny because they include the number of views for each of these categories, and that has the highest number at like 3,300. So it ranges from like 600 views to that. So my money has to be on if you're someone who's actually supporting this and paying for it, there can't be more than like 500 people who actually paid for this. This is my guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Well, Brian, if you let's be optimistic here. Let's say all 3,300 views, which obviously are not all the people who have paid. Let's just say that. Let's just say that's the
I
top
just
number.
added to their view, so
Right, exactly. Let's just say all 3,300 people have viewed and pledged a minimum $30 to vote. That's $99,000 right there. So at the tops, just from the generous public, I guess the most they're going to get out of this is maybe 100 grand. But then, like, are they having it? Like, I think they're talking about having it in like an actual place. They're going to rent out to and like streaming it and all this crap. Like, For as much like you want as much of a cash grab as this whole stupid thing is, like I don't know, like unless they're really good with money, I don't see how they walk away with any cash after this.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Right?
they're
Are they like
follow.
the Joker? Is it about sending a message?
I mean, they have 6,200 followers on Twitter. Based on numbers I see, like they clearly have enough to think they're going to keep going forward with it. But like, oh man, like I would just love to know. Like I just want to know the actual numbers behind all this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to know.
Here's, you know what? As stupid as it is, what I do like is goofy categories and shittiest game of the year. I do like that from a Razzie standpoint. Like there should be a shittiest game of the like just make a Razzies for video games. Like, worst character developed for a video game, worst voiceover, worst game, like shit like that. I'd be fine with.
I would be fine with like an actual Razzies. It isn't just like based around like you know just trying to say most woke game of the year. I'm actually shocked they never just didn't make that as a category.
Are you
Like
saying it's our time to make the Razzies of the video games?
I think we need to, Bry. I think it's our duty. That's the 2025 gimmick right there.
And our entry fee is buy us a case of beer.
Yep. Well, bye bye liver. It's not enough goddamn not a milk thistle in the world for this one.
So here's the only thing I can't figure out is when are they doing their winners?
I don't
Voting is now live. Go to voting section. Like I'm sure it's listed here, but it's also oddly not. It has all the shit up for voting. So yeah.
and then
All right. Well,
there's always the dark horse result with these, Brian, with anything internet based and out of spite. There's a chance it might never happen. I think this will happen with the people involved. I think they will go through with it, but I still see there's like a good 5% chance it never actually happens.
all right. We'll see. Jim, well, let's just keep the train rolling with terrible ideas. And who's the king as far as video game companies with the worst ideas, Jim?
Oh God, where do you start? Like, do you talk like anti-consumer because then that's gotta be Nintendo? But then do you start like doing, purchase it? All right, it's fucking Sega. Let's just say it's Sega.
It's Sega. So, Jim, they've had some mild success, well, pretty good success, and you and I will be talking about this more with our buddy Nerdy Nick, especially in movies recently, with the Sonic movies. In video games, very, 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 very questionable. But what's the latest dumbass
Right, we have a
plan they
Golden
have?
Axe movie coming. Nothing will go wrong. It'll be fine. But yes. So actually, recently Sega delisted a ton of their games from like every platform. Steam, Microsoft, Nintendo, Xbox took down a shitload of individual releases, ton of collections, all this stuff. And everyone's like, well, Sega's got to be planning something. What are they planning? Well, from BBC News, as of the 20th of December, Sega is considering a Netflix-like game subscription service. So they're considering launching their own subscription service for video games, a move which would accelerate gaming's transition towards streaming. There's already a number of similar services, such as Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, which see gamers pay a monthly fee for access to a range of titles rather than owning them outright. Sega's president Shuji Utsumi told the BBC that such a subscription products were very interesting and that his firm was evaluating some opportunities. We're thinking something and discussing something and cannot disclose right now, he said. Wow, what a news bomb. But yeah, then it just goes on to say about, how people in the industry are like, moving towards that. It could be attractive for people who mostly want to play Sega games, but for everyone else, it could result in higher costs. Uh, there's streamers that they talk to who stream Sega games on Switch or on Twitch who are excited and worried at the same time about a subscription service. And, Shuji goes on to talk about all their plans to bring Sega back. So between like the Sonic 3 film that they have and talking about the other films they have and trying to go back to a lot of their old IPs, it's all part of their thing. So when I told him that sounded familiar, Sega's marketing in the 90s often tried to position Sonic as a cool alternative to Mario. He agreed. He's trying to bring back a rock and roll mentality to gaming, as he's saying, which, I mean, probably not great because Rock's kind of dead, but Okay, yeah, we can go with that. And yeah, so he unsurprisingly talked up the firm's success in the year, which has included multiple winning game awards like Metaphor Refantasio, as well as, being the publisher. I mean, Atlas makes the games, but, having fucking Persona under their belt and everything like that. And also talking about how many people have had to lose their jobs because of Football Manager and, cuts in March and games being delayed. So yeah, it's a whole rundown of like Sega and their plans. But the big bomb of it was, yeah, they might be starting their own subscription service. So, Brian, does the world need its own Sega subscription service?
Fuck no. Here's so like when I
Brian,
think
pay money to
subscription
play
services,
nights. Do it. Don't be a
no,
cuck.
here's the deal. So you got Xbox Game Pass, you got PlayStation, whatever
Plus,
it's called,
yeah,
Plus, you got the Switch thing,
Nintendo
and
Online,
it,
yeah.
yeah, and with Nintendo Online now you have the fucking expansion, which already has Sega and N64 as add-ons. Like, what do they, okay, charge me $1 a month, and then maybe it's worth it. Like, I'm sorry, that's the Sega catalog is not deep enough to warrant its own service. I was questioning when like EA did that. But EA, okay, there's a decent amount of games, but like EA also usually gets bundled in like when you get Xbox Game Pass. I don't know what it's like on PlayStation or other things, like on your PC, but like that gets bundled in with like Game Pass Ultimate, so you automatically have EA. So a Sega standalone game service, are they just trying to lose money? Like, just hitch up to fucking Nintendo or get bought out by Microsoft. Do one or the other. You don't need your own gaming service. It won't do what you think it's going to do for you. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of Sega diehard fans. I know you're out there, but what at a minimum to make money, they have to start at least $10 a month. And can you justify $10 a month for a fucking Sega catalog?
Well, it's like, what are the games that are really going to bring people in? It's going to be Sonic, it's going to be Persona, and it's going to be Yakuza. And that's basically it. And Persona is made by Atlas. So Sega's going to have to continue to just throw a Brinks truck at Atlas to stay under the Sega umbrella for that point. Everything else, like, I know they're trying to bring some games back. And hey, I hope they bring these franchises back and they do a good job. But until I see it, I have no faith in them doing it well. So, like, what's the draw there to a subscription service? Like, I think there would be so much better off just like they've been doing. Put the games up there for $5 to $10. Have someone want a piece of nostalgia, $10 at a time, and then you just get a sale. Like someone could want to go and be like, "I want to play virtual racing," but then they're not going to go. I'm not going to pay a subscription service to play virtual racing. Like,
Yeah.
no old school fans going to do that. So
And that's kind of where my mind is at. Like the things that would draw people in the most are probably the most easily emulated, ROM ripped, or whatever. Um, they'd have to really wow you with something. Like my guess would be from the Saturn or Dreamcast catalog. Shit that's like too obscure or tough to really drive an emulation. But then you still have to figure out how to run it through Xbox, PlayStation, or on like your PC. So, and I don't know if that's enough to drive anything that's going to make them real money.
yeah, it really reads like I don't think Sega really knows what they are at this point. And I'm a
Is
Sega
this their
fanboy. I love Sega. I grew up a Genesis fanboy. I love it. I defend the 32X. I am the market for this. And I see this and I go, I'll just pull a game off the shelf if I want to play it.
that's what I'm saying. Like what is a white whale of something that they could like offer you with a subscription service that you'd go, ooh, like, yeah, I'll dive into that
It's
because you
got,
are a bigger Sega fanboy.
I mean, it's got to be the big ones. It's got to be like Snatcher and Panzer Dragoon Saga and, some of the other like super big name ones and crap like that are like very expensive, very rare, very hard to get. Disc rot, blah, 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 blah. Like Road Avenger on the Sega CD and Time Gallon, all that crap. And that would be very cool, but that would be stuff that you would play for and pay for maybe 2 months? And
Yeah.
then are you going to keep up with that? Like they almost have to put like Fantasy Star Universe on there and even maybe come up with a new Fantasy Star like MMO to keep people on there. Like I think if they want to make this work, they need a new Fantasy Star MMO. Like I know Fantasy Star Online 2 kind of came and went a couple years ago and no one really cared that much. Like they need like a big hit like that that's going to keep people pumping money into this thing. Because anything else they have, you can play, beat it in a couple months and never go back to it.
Or like they say in the article,
Or shit
they'd
that you
have to.
can't buy 1,000 other places already anyway.
Well, that's my point. Like, yeah, you'd have to be like, all right, here's a new really good Sonic game. You can only get through the service. You
Yeah.
can't then port the shit to Switch and everywhere else because then it defeats it. That's the only way you do it.
Yeah, and I mean like Nintendo for all its faults and stuff, like yeah, they did find a way with Nintendo Online to repackage games you can find 1,000 other ways and put it on there. Or games ton of games you don't want to play. And people play the money, but it's super cheap. And also it's Nintendo. It's put on a console that has 150 million units sold. What does Sega have? Like they don't have that built-in fan base and loyalty. Like it's been 20 years since they've had that, at least. So I don't know, man. It seems it's weird. Like, you know what they need to do? I think too. Take their movies, which is all of three right now. Take them off the other streaming services and put them on this fucking streaming service too. Like, make the Sonic movies just live on here. So, like, my kid likes the Sonic movies. Your kid likes the Sonic movies. Make it cheap enough that could be a way to help get people over there and younger crowds into it. But I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Uh, that's why I started this, Jim, with some of the dumbest shit you can do as a video game company. Sega never disappoints. So you know what, Sega? Keep being you. I'm sure below bronze is where you like to be.
Yeah, like I know they want to thank their Netflix and Game Pass, but like they're going to be like Tubi at best.
Jim, let's continue with things that piss fans off. And what the fuck is this next one? Because I'm trying to understand it. And in a tweet, and you'll see the pictures I put it up. It from Stellar Blade. It says, "Thank you, Nam Wang Take,
Namhyung Tech or whatever, principal character.
principal character, concept developer at Naughty Dog, for this amazing illustration of Eve." And the and the picture from afar, the picture's like, okay, I've never played this game. Doesn't look bad, but when you zoom in on the face, it's questionable. And as you zoom down, the face is very reminiscent of I think she's a Russian chick from Dodgeball. Um,
That's the meme they're all going with.
and yeah, a lot of people were pretty mad. And then even the guy himself was like, yeah, I get it. I noticed it too. I should have refined her face more while I was deep in the background creatures. This image was my personal contribution to the game and the studio because I truly enjoyed the game. And he drew a different Eve, which looks much better. But boy, oh boy, were nerd ass fans really upset, Jim.
Yeah, so at first I was going to call this Grift Watch, but like I know the grifters talked about it, but I know there's going to be a thing where it's just like I'll come up with a name later, but like fucking
Here's my question. Why are people legit? So, like,
because it's Naughty Dog. That's why, Brian. Naughty Dog is one of the ever since Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann, and I mean Neil has not helped himself in a lot of cases, but Naughty Dog is just the preeminent like fucking anything woke gamer, the anti-studio for that. The public enemy number one is Naughty Dog right now.
but so this is a guy. He drew this. He's not selling it for money. He literally is like, hey, I was bored. I drew this thing. The, other than hating on the company, like if they were like, hey, we're selling this limited edition drawing, why is it just as a free piece of just goofy ass artwork are people this upset?
Because it's Naughty Dog, Brian. There is so much brain rot out there that they I mean like all this is it's fan art. It's Tumblr fan art basically. That's all it is. It's
That's what I'm
just
trying to figure
it's a guy
out.
from
Like,
one development team going, I like this character. here's my little drawing of your character. And the other, and because Stellar Blade was like the white whale of the Cryptosphere, where that's the, fucking, that started all this shit. Them going, oh, that's pretty cool. Thanks, man. And everyone's losing their mind because it's goddamn Naughty Dog. And it's not like it's a fat, blue haired, whatever sexual preference person. Like, it's a Korean person, a person that they should love who makes all the character designs that they love. And it's a good looking drawing with, like, you can't whine about masculine proportions and shit like that. Big tits, big waist, or big ass, small waist, all this. Everything they should want. But because it is Naughty Dog, they are losing their minds and trying to find and nitpick any flaw they can. They don't care about what they actually want. They just want an enemy, Brian. That's all it is. That's
But
all
like,
it comes down to.
he's the principal character concept designer. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe obviously I'm so out of the loop, and that's the whole thing is the hate for Naughty Dog. But I'm like, it's a dude that just drew a photo, which some shit I could never fucking draw. Yeah, the face when you zoom in, it's a little goofy, fine. And then he showed like, oh, I could actually design it much better. But like, yeah, it's a fucking fan art. Like, do you think the bigger problem is that Stellar Blade posted it? Like, if they had never posted, do you think it would have got any traction?
I mean, no, it probably would not have gotten as much traction as it did, but like someone making a fucking fan art of it. Like, yes, they should post it. It's cool that a company will post something from another developer. And they're all just mad that these developers aren't as mad at each other as they are at the developers.
Yeah.
Like, the developers don't fucking care. They're like, oh, cool, man, thanks. That's what it comes down to. It was an all cool, man, thanks. So they posted the art. We have well drawn art. And they go, brr, the wrong person drew it. Brr.
The wrong person, the face, all of it. So, uh, Jim, just when I think, should I be more into the web of
No,
Twitter?
no.
I see this, and then I dive deeper into this week's NormieView, and I needed to understand. I needed to just look up who the fuck this was. So I educated myself right before we started. But why don't
Oh,
you explain to folks what is this week's NormieView and what is it I'm going to be critiquing, if you will?
all right. So I'm trying to bring this NormieView back to basics. I didn't put any links for any background research. So, Brian, good on you for doing some yourself. But yes, today we are talking about a fellow YouTuber, former YouTuber, I guess now, Finn Mckenty, better known by his channel, The Punk Rock MBA. So he was in the music sphere with a pretty successful channel for a number of years, basically talking about the history of different bands and stuff like that, their background, leaning more towards like, the hard rock, metal side, new metal, punk side, obviously with his namesake. And, he was a guy who was pretty fairly popular. I'll gotta look up and see how many subscribers he had.
He had
And
157,000.
all right, 157,000. And he also had like a side podcast that he did that was also kind of successful, where he brought on all these different names from all these different bands that he would talk about. And, he would have good conversations with them. And at his best, he would, put an eye to lesser known bands and stuff like that. And he gave a lot of people help. But there was always this aura around him of people saying he's just a poser. He doesn't really care about music. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And as of a couple months ago, he just quit. He basically stopped uploading videos. He stopped doing stuff. And he was like, yeah, the punk rock MBA is done. So he's a guy in his late 40s. He was a marketing major. He was all about like, the presentation stuff like that. And he wound up going on a podcast where he basically said, I never cared about music. I'm done with music. All I did was basically just sum up Wikipedia articles and talk about that. And even at one point being like, I've never even listened to System of a Down. And the people in the music sphere have kind of lost their minds over it. So you have a whole sphere of people who are going, I knew it. He was a fraud. He was a phony. He was a fake the whole time. And then you have others who are going, there's no way you've been this intertwined with it. He probably just got really burnt out and sick of the negative side of music YouTube, which it's obviously out there. Like gaming can be just as vitriolic of a space. And even there's other music YouTubers who are like, why would you if he was trying to grift, why would he do it with music YouTube, which isn't that popular or successful in the first place? So now there's a lot of think pieces like Anthony Fantano had a pretty good video about it with his personal experience. A couple other guys in the music sphere put videos up. So yeah, at the end of the day, Brian, well, and even Finn himself has said that like over the years how much he hated fucking dealing with like the comment section and the negative side and toxicity of music YouTube. So, Brian, do you think he was just playing a game the entire time, or do you think he just got sick of everything and basically burned every bridge on his way out?
It's tough to say. Like, so what I'm trying to figure out, and that's what I was trying to figure out is, did he himself actually say that sentence about like, I actually don't care about the music and I summarized wiki, or is that what people interpret it?
No, that's what he actually said on the podcast.
Was he
I'm
doing it in jest at all, do you think?
it didn't sound it on there. So I don't have the link down here. Maybe I'll try and find it before we upload this. But yeah, I mean, when you listen to it, he just seems very dismissive, and he's just like, "Yeah, man, I never cared about music. I just read Wikipedia articles." It was basically like that.
So I'm looking at his site right now and what I did before as research. And he started approximately 5 years ago. All right. So 157K subs. That's really great, but it's not like he's not like fucking
Astronomical,
PewDiePie.
yeah,
Yeah, he's not crazy huge, but he's like, okay, he made a niche for himself. And then I looked at some of his old shit, and some of it was like, you could tell there was a very like, I'm trying to feel this out. And it seems like once he started talking about music, he realized, oh, this is where my views are. Because some of it was like, wrestling talk and some other talk and then just generic like talking about Billie Eilish, MGK. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm really going to lean into the as you said like punk, metalcore, whatever."
yeah.
That seemed to be like he's like, "All right, this is going to be my lane." All right, so here's the deal. Music is one of the weird like any category can get really weird. We've talked about it with gamers. Music people, man, they're so fucking weird about like, oh, you like this band, you must not be really into music and da 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 da. And you probably know this way better than I do, but I've seen it like how fucking anal music people are. They're like the biggest nerds with that shit. And I'm sorry, if you're grinding for 5 years, I don't know if he means he doesn't like music. He probably is just tired of the content creation around music, is my guess. And I'm sure there is a point where he's like, yeah, I'm trying to find out information, so I'm using Wiki as a source. I guess my question to the hardcores and people that would be upset with him is like, what would then define someone who's in the genre? Do they need to be in fucking record stores? Do they need to be going to every fucking concert? Like what would make you satisfied that you're a music expert? Because really, other than listening to the album and saying, here's my opinion of it, like, and then you do your research, which I'm sorry, 97% of people use Wikipedia as their first thing. They're like, oh, let me look up this band and talk about it based off of that. What makes you a bigger music expert? Like, legitimately, I don't know what the answer is to that.
Like I think the only thing that probably would have made them think he's legit, and again, like I only have like a surface level thing of Finn. Like I've watched a couple dozen episodes of Punk Rock NBA. Like I was like, oh, this is a pretty decent channel, and like I guess like they would only accept him being an expert in the know if he was, I guess, like a part of the background or stage production or like a promoter or something like that. Maybe. Or like a producer for albums, but it's like I mean, again, there's only so much you can do. Like you can just be a super fan and super nerd and listen to a ton of shit and talk about what you know too, like you said.
Because here's the deal, music, I think, way more than video games, movies, or even books. Like music is strictly auditory, right? Like you're just hearing something And all you can be is like, oh, this sounds pretty good. Now you can take it the level deeper. Like, well, what did it mean to the scene? Who were these guys? Where did they come from? The psychology. And then, like, you can try to break it down. But at the end of the day, it's like, does this song sound good or not? Like, that's really what it boils down to. So I'm like, when people will completely diswrite, like, write off someone, they're like, oh, you like the Misfits? Oh, well, you're too mainstream. It's like, are you though? Like at what point are you like, no, you're just too anal and you want to be the guy that thinks he knows the most exclusive shit. And
Look,
what
see,
I
Brian,
see from
the most popular band I listen to is Anal Cunt, so that's where I draw my line. All right.
exactly. But like I look at his videos and like, yes, obviously it's mostly rock, but then he also throws in there like ranking best breakfast foods. And I'm like, okay. And he's also ranking like MTV dating shows. So I don't know. Like, do I think he was grifting? I would really have to watch it and know. I think when the few videos I watched before talking about this, he's clearly listening. So he's doing the bare minimum, right? Like he's listening to a couple of them. Um, I don't know. Can you judge a band if you don't listen to their whole discography? Like if a band has 10 albums and you're like, I listen to 30 songs, but not all 70. Does that count? I don't know.
Right.
So I think it's interesting that he was being that honest that he would say he did that shit. Yeah, because his last video was 2 months ago with Tillian Pearson, whoever that is. Um, yeah, he here's my thing. Do you think he made that much money on this? 157K. His most popular video was 315K views.
No, he really didn't make that much on it.
So did he have that big of an impact in the music scene?
I mean,
Is
probably
and that
not.
that's my question.
Probably not. And at best, he probably put eyes on smaller bands when he talked about him. So at least he did that.
That's where like I almost go, did he do more net good for the industry by saying like, hey, if you like me, here's some bands you might not have heard of, because everyone's going to hear of like, oh, you know, Corn, Red Hot Chili Peppers, or whatever. But here's some bands that you might not have known of, and then might have exposed some people to, good or bad. I, I don't know. One of his most Jim, I have to. This makes me laugh. One of his most popular videos is called the Incel Music Compass, and on the thumbnail it has Tool, Incubus, and I can't see some of the other bands like they're just their symbols, but I'm like, that just makes me want to click that to be like, what the fuck would you consider
Yeah,
incel
incel music.
if you
Yeah.
have Tool and Incubus?
Two wildly different genres, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So I don't know. Like, so when you've watched his stuff, what was your take? As someone who is way more in tune, obviously, with internet, with music, did he seem like he was like, okay,
It to me, as a guy who didn't watch like a shitload of his stuff, I was like, man, it seems like a guy who's really into the things he's talking about. Like, maybe he was a really good actor, but like, all right, here is my thing on it. I I think he just got sick of the scene and he wanted to burn every bridge on the way out and he just got sick of it because like it seemed like he had at least some passing knowledge of what he was talking about. And there'd be videos where he's like, "Oh yeah, I hung out with this guy at this time." Like maybe you want to say he was faking it and just being a marketing guy the whole time, but like you can't run a podcast too and talk to all these people and feign that much interest for year after year after year after year. Like I don't think you can honestly fake it that much for that long. Now, some people are psychopaths and they can do that, but like, I don't know. I just never got that vibe from him. I just think he just got sick of the whole scene and just wanted out.
and that's my point. Is like maybe does he hate it now just because maybe he means like I hate it now because I was so entrenched in it.
That's what my guess is.
Like you and I talked about, and we've talked about with a lot of people we do content creation with. how often do you play video games? And part of it is like your mind automatically goes analytical and you're like, I got to get footage. And you're not enjoying the game for enjoying the game. You're enjoying the game. Like you're playing the game because you're like, I got to make something of this. So you're coming at it from a different spot versus if this dude was a guy, he's like, I can't listen to music now to enjoy it. I'm doing it as my job. Wouldn't that drive most people crazy? I think in
Yeah.
some way or another.
How many people have burned out making their hobby their job? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't know. I'm torn on it. And like I said, the music scene is fucking is weird. Like I said, I've wanted there's so many songs I want to show you because I know like I feel like you're not full music snob, but you're halfway there.
I've softened a lot over the years too.
Yeah. But I kind of feel like, man, there's
Right.
some
Much like
people
everything
you
else, my nihilism is completely taken over and I just don't care anymore.
but there are some people like I don't get it. Like it's like you're just listening to a song, man. Like, is the song good or not? Simple as that, right? Like,
Yeah. Is it catchy? Does it have a hook? Or, for the people who care about lyrics, does it say something? Like,
yeah,
whatever you're looking to get out of
exactly.
a goddamn song, like, does it touch you in a way?
But yeah, no. So I think if he needs to walk away for this, now here's the deal. What I've seen with all these fucking YouTubers is I'm walking away, I'm done, and then 2 months, 3 months later, they're right back to doing it.
Oh yeah, this will be whether he actually walks away or if he goes into lolcow. Because that's where he's at right now. He's at the crossroads.
And if he did, quote unquote, like if he grifted everyone, if he tricked everyone, and it was just a marketing thing, okay. I don't think he walked away a fucking millionaire. I think maybe he got a couple, maybe let's say best case, he got 40 grand a year to do this.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, he probably made more than that. Like, he probably made a decent enough living off doing this, but like, I
Yeah.
don't think he made like super amazing bucks. Like, what every music YouTuber says, who's way more popular than he was, they all go, Why would you do music? Like, you don't make, there's not that much money to be made. And like, music more than anything is tough with videos and YouTube because it gets copyright struck left and right. So,
Yeah,
like,
like
that's a
that's why
balancing
like
act you're doing the whole time.
if you were going to do anything, and that's what I noticed in some of his videos, like he tried a few times. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to do reaction videos." Like and he even in those thumbnails did the reaction face to a lot of them.
Got to play the
And
game.
you got to play the game, right? Like so I, I don't know. Maybe this is just a cautionary tale. Like if you have a hobby you truly love, be cautious about just diving in and doing it because yeah, like it can ruin that hobby for you. Period.
Easily.
Yeah. So no, my guess is this is a dude that just got burnt out by it because you don't spend 5 years of your life doing podcasts, meeting people, being in that industry, making this many videos without having some level of caring about it.
Yep. No, I'm right there with you. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't know how a lot of the gaming YouTubers who, stream every goddamn day and then make videos on the side and then do podcasts and everything and go on other sites and collab. Like, I get it's your job at that point, but it's like, fuck, man, at some point you gotta be so sick of it.
Oh, absolutely. So maybe we'll have Finn on one day, Jim, and we can talk him into it.
Come back, go to gaming, grip that sphere. Apparently it's so easy.
Hey, T Pain said he's out of music now and only doing gaming because he makes like 60K a day
Wait, we
doing
lost
fucking.
T-Pain?
Yeah, he doesn't do music anymore. He's like, yo, streaming video games makes me way more money than music did.
Does he want to stream games right now?
That's Akon, goddammit.
Oh, fuck. Whatever my goddamn old roommate used to wake me up to every day.
But Chambers,
Oh, wait, no, T-Pain, was he?
I'm gonna buy
Fuck.
you a drink.
I thought it was like, get on with your life. Hey. Was it that one? I'm just gonna dig a hole for myself if I keep doing this.
Oh, Jim. I just, you know what? He was in love with a bartender, all right?
Damn it.
And a stripper. But either way,
Oh,
Jamer,
that's a
speaking
classic.
speaking of drinks, how did your bitch ass beer treat you? No, it's actually a good beer.
My bitch ass 11 percenter. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I only went through the one. I took it easy tonight, but you don't go wrong with Mad Elf. Tis the season, Brian.
Yeah. I will say this macaroon Bourbon County stout whew, feels good. I feel warm and I'm either gonna have great sleep or terrible sleep tonight. Super delicious. If you're someone who's not super into beer, hops, pine, it's a good beer to try, but it's a sipper. And knowing these bottles, you're gonna spend a pretty penny. But yeah, super, super delicious. So with that, everyone, I want to say thank you all so much for another great year, for watching us, for supporting us. I hope you guys have a happy new year. 2025, as Jim and I said, we have some big plans, but we want to keep it realistic. So if you're listening to us on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, make sure you hit subscribe, leave us comments there. And even if you give us a 5-star rating, even if you want to bash us, we'll read on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. And more importantly, if you're watching us on iTunes, make sure hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And with that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Happy holidays and happy new year.